With Disney Cruise Line's growing fleet, finding the right itinerary can feel a little daunting. Well, not to worry. We're going to walk you through it today on the DIS Unlimited's DCL Show. Hello and welcome to the DIS Unlimited's DCL Show. I'm Chris Forbeck, one of the agents with Dreams Unlimited Travel. Thanks so much for joining us. So, multiple ships, multiple destinations, multiple lengths, multiple budgets. Wow, that's a lot of pieces, right? There are a growing number of options for finding the right Disney Cruise Line itinerary for you and your family. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And here with me to do that is my friend and colleague, Dreams Unlimited travel agent, Elaine Edwards. Hello, Elaine.
Hi, friends.
And also my friend and colleague, Dreams Unlimited travel agent and the person behind Disney's Dreams Spanish podcast, See Disney, Federico Agar.
Hello, how are you?
And I'm doing great, thank you. Actually, my puppy didn't sleep last night, so I'm doing everything to rally through, but we'll get through it. And of course, we have our amazing producer who's here with us each week, Jimmy Valdez. Hello, Jimmy.
Hello.
Great here being with all of you. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for being here with us too. We're going to talk about excursions, and we have a little bit of news as well, and we'll tell you about that. But I'd like to tell you that this show, along with everything we do at the DIS Unlimited, DCL Fan, UO Fan, well, it's all brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. We are experts at helping you plan your magical Disney cruise, a visit to an amazing Disney theme park, your Universal adventure, Epic Universe, and the other two. They're great. Even other cruise lines. There's no additional cost to book with Dreams Unlimited Travel, none. But we're going to give you insights about your Disney cruise adventure, the Disney park trip, or even tips for your Universal trek. This is what we do. We do this all the time, and we're watching all the different pieces and how they fit together. And by booking your cruise with Dreams Unlimited Travel, get a shipboard credit of up to $1,000, depending on the price of your cruise. And I always hear people say, oh, nothing's for free. Free money to spend on board, and it doesn't cost you a dime. It's not a bad thing. The best way to get started, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And I always note, by way of transparency, all of us, Elaine, Federico, me, we are all Dreams Unlimited travel agents. Yes, this is our job. This is how we put food on our table. Thank you. But we also love Disney Cruise Line, and we want you to have we want you to have the best time possible. Our job, both here on this podcast and as agents, is to give you information so you can make the best decision for you and your family. And as Disney fans know, guess what? Sometimes Disney fans, we're the most critical about what Disney does. And we all love change as long as everything stays the same, right? But we also appreciate when they do something really amazing. So we get to spend time with that. We hope you book your cruise or your trip with Dreams Unlimited Travel. It allows us to do this. But if you don't, we still hope you have just an amazing time. So I wanted to touch base a little bit about, and I think by the time this actually airs, we will have new itineraries. But I wanted to talk a little bit because Disney Cruise Line announced several weeks ago that Disney ship, the Disney Wonder, has gone to Australia, New Zealand for the past couple, our winter, their summer. But they announced that that's not happening for the summer, our winter of 2026, 2027. And Elaine, I wanted to just talk a little bit amongst us as to why did it not work? I mean, we saw a lot of them offering a lot of discounts for those Australian cruises. But do you have any sense as to why?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. So this is, like Chris said, we're in the second season of this. And the first one, when they announced that and they went on sale, I mean, pretty much every sailing sold out almost immediately. I mean, they sold out. And then with the second ones, I mean, I guess I don't know what happened. They didn't quite sell out. And then we noticed about a few months ago, they actually reduced the price, not put them on sale, but actually reduced the actual fares, which Disney Cruise Line really never does. And so then they started putting them on sale on top of that. So I don't know why they're not booking this year when they sold out last year. I don't know. I don't know. But, a lot of them are these kind of cruises to nowhere. So it's
Yeah.
just you float
Magic at sea,
around.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just kind of float around for 3 days. So I don't know if maybe that's why. I mean, there's only so much to do on a Disney ship in 3 days. So I don't know. I don't know why this didn't work, or maybe this was the plan all along, that they were only going to do this for 2 years and then they were going to do something else. I don't know, but yeah. Interesting.
Federico, what's at least I've seen a couple of clients, and I've in fact just booked one for a New Zealand family that's going to do a New Zealand cruise around the New Zealand islands because they want to do this before Disney disappears. But do you have any sense as to what happened here?
Because they are having the great idea to bring the ship to South America. No, I have no idea. I hope they
I think
do.
Federico is manifesting this right now.
Yeah, they can have the south of the Caribbean, and then Brazil, Argentina. It will be amazing. So I hope they do that, because it's the same season.
Yeah.
It's summer, and yeah, who knows? We'll have to see what happens, and also when the new ships arrive in the next years. Maybe they'll do an Australia season again. They're gonna have to find places to bring all those ships. So, but yeah, I have no idea. I think that maybe they plan it from the beginning to see how it goes, and to see if one of these ships is going to stay there. But I think maybe in the future we'll see it. I don't know.
And the Disney Adventure will be based.
I just want to know, why did they not call it the Wonder Down Under? Why? Why did they called it Magic at Sea? Why is it not the one? It's not the Magic. They didn't send the Magic there. They sent the Wonder. Why is it not the Wonder Down Under? They miss an opportunity.
My sense is there were some there that Disney, I think my prediction, and we'll have this now recorded so we can test whether it happens. My prediction is they'll be back. They're figuring some stuff out. The economics were different than they've done in other places. And so, and we've seen on the Disney Adventure, the prices are different than they are with U.S. cruises. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if it's. I also saw some buzz, people saying, "Hey, we don't want one of the quote unquote old ships. We want one of the newer ships." The newer ships couldn't get under the bridge that's there in Sydney, so it makes it a little bit more complex. I think the coming itineraries, which as I say, I think are probably out now, will give us some indication as to what might be happening, and so maybe we'll have done some more speculation. But it was interesting to see, and I know some of the Australian and New Zealand folks were disappointed. So, but let's talk. And by the way, I was originally booked to do. They have a 10-day around New Zealand cruise that starts in Auckland. In December, goes over Christmas, and you end up in Sydney 2 days before New Year's Eve. And so you could do the first city that celebrates the new year. And then it looked absolutely delicious to me. I just couldn't it was a big chunk of time and I couldn't make it work. So unfortunately, I'm not doing it this year. So there you go. Let's talk a little bit about how one chooses what cruise they're going to do, because I mentioned at the top there are a lot of pieces here, because there's now a lot of ships. There's different destinations. Elaine, when somebody reaches out to you and says, "I don't know where I want to do a Disney cruise, I don't really know what to start," where do you start with them? How do you even get this discussion started?
So it's usually a whole bullet point checklist of basically finding out what is the most important thing to you. First, you want to know who is going to be traveling with you. You're going to want to know, when can you travel? What does a vacation look like to you? Does it look like a relaxing on the beach? Does it look like going out and doing an adventure? What when you say I'm going on a cruise vacation, what does that look like? What are you picturing in your mind? And so, and then it's talking about, is this a one and done? Is this is our first cruise and we're going to, cruise every other year for the next 20 years? Like, there's a lot of pieces, and then it's taking all that and kind of putting it together to kind of coming up with a short list and then deciding from there. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it for sure.
Federico, I'd add into that list where you would like to cruise. If you don't want to fly a bunch and you're on the East Coast, you're probably talking about either somewhere in Florida, maybe Galveston. The other piece is budget, of course, and that plays a role. And we also get people who reach out who say they want a specific ship. I want to be on this specific ship. And that's one of the factors. But how do you get folks to start?
So I think that there's two things that you have to keep in mind: what you want to do, your desire, and with what you can do, your possibilities, the things that you're actually willing to make happen. One thing that you have to keep in mind is that there are some ships and ports that are always going to be there for the majority of the year when itineraries are released. But there are other destinations that happen just a couple of months during the year. I have a lot of clients saying, I want to do an Alaska cruise in December because that's when I have a vacation.
Survey says,
well, that's not going to happen. Yeah, because they usually happen during the summer. Oh, I want to do a European cruise in January. Because that's when we get vacations in South America for a lot of countries. And that's not going to happen, at least not for now. We don't know what's the thing is going to be when we have 5 new ships. Of course, the options are going to be bigger. But so you have to know first that if you want to do in a specific destination, there are some of them that happen only a few months during the year, and there are other that happens all year long. So you're going to have more flexibility. And then, of course, is what you said, Chris, about the ships. Not all the ships do all the destinations. This is something that for us travel agents, we know that, and we have it very clear. We know the Disney Wonder, where is it and where is it going to be doing in this specific time of the year. But for the majority of people, they don't know. They say, okay, I want to do the Disney Wish on the Greek islands. Well, no, this ship is in this specific part of the world during these months of the year. So always start the conversation with your travel agent, as Elaine said. Having a clear idea of what you want to do and what you can do, where and when you can travel. And when you have that, then we can speak about the specific details that are going to be more fitting into the things that you want or can do. Because every ship is different. They have different themes. They have different experiences. They have different dining options. They have different shows. And of course, the destinations are different. You're not going to be able to do the same things on an Alaska cruise than you do in the Caribbean, because the weather is different and the ports where you're going to stop is different. And again, for the people who are experiencing cruising, we know that, but for some people who approach being on a cruise for the first time, they maybe not understand that the differences between the ships, the destinations, and the time of the year.
And I should note that we have done profiles of all the different classes of ships. So the Magic class, the Dream class, the Wish class. So you can find those in our archive. We have them all. If you go to dclshow.com/watch, It'll take you to the playlist of all of them. You can find it right there. So it makes it nice and easy. So that will give you some of the things. Two other, and they did a great job pulling together some of the factors. Two other factors that I think are also important. One is dates. And we often get people saying, I can cruise anytime. I just want to cruise on a day. I'm sorry, you can't. Because we always get in this place and like people say, well, I can't do that and I can't do that. Give us some windows. And we're happy to help with windows, but if you just create a blank slate, I mean, we're going to have cruises into 2027, like that's 300 and some odd. We're going to have more cruises and it just gets overwhelming. So I think date is always one of the... Yeah, go ahead.
I have a client that said once, I have availability all year long, and I said, well, we have 355 cruises available.
Right.
Can you give me a quote on all of them?
Right.
And I was like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but each specific sailing is gonna have a different price for your travel party, and the prices changes all the time. So yeah, we're gonna have, as Chris says, you're gonna have to make a selection of what you want.
So exactly, narrow the funnel. Help us and really, it's great if you can share with us what your priorities are. For some people, it's budget. If budget is a primary concern, guess what? Don't do Christmas, don't do New Year's, don't do Thanksgiving, don't do spring break. Those are the most expensive times of the year. If you want the cheapest, it's going to be like September when kids are all back in school. It's going to be January when kids have all just gone back to school after those winter breaks. Those prices will drop dramatically. And so if that's your primary, whatever is of all the factors that we've listed here, whatever is the key factor to you, the more you give us, the more we can help and narrow the selections. So then we can get to a 2, 3, and then oftentimes then we can get to things like stateroom availability and something. I've had clients who said, I'm only cruising if I have 5:45 dining. They have young kids and I cannot do 8:15 dining. Okay, that's something that we can begin to work through. If that's your criteria, book early. Because 5:45, particularly in the Caribbean and the Bahamas, those go early. So if that's a thing that's important to you, be sure and book early. But those other factors can really help us narrow down the options. One thing. So yeah, go ahead, Elaine.
I was just saying, that is 100% what I say all the time when I am talking to people, that we say, okay, now you have all of these things. What's most important to you? And then I say, literally write out a list and give it to me in order. What is your most important priority? Is it that you want to be the least expensive option? Is it that you want, that it's a 4-night cruise as opposed to a 3-night? Like, that is it. Is what is it? Figuring out between you and your traveling party what your priorities are and what order they are. And that is going to help us and you the most, for sure.
And I should mention that I have a client who they make decisions. They're fairly new to Disney cruising. They are making decisions based on what shows. That is their top criteria. And they didn't want to do the same ship because they wanted different shows. That was really important to them. Whatever is important to you, if you share that with us, we're going to be able to help maneuver that. Generally, I'm sorry, Elaine, did you have another thing?
I'm sorry, I keep agreeing with you because
great.
Everything is 100% true. Between your clients, my clients, Federico's clients, like it's 100% true.
The thing that I always emphasize, and Federico mentioned that we get a lot of folks who say, I can cruise anytime. The simple fact of the matter is, no, you can't. And we cannot possibly begin to look at the number of cruises. It's it's overwhelming for you. So again, help us narrow. You're going to have some priorities. If there's one ship that you're a completist and you want to get that one ship off your list, that's an important factor and will really help us start to narrow. So it's so important. The as Federico mentioned, and I just did, CLIA, the Cruise Line International Association, does an annual look at cruising. And one of the key factors in there is almost 50% of all cruise passengers are going to the Bahamas, to Bermuda, or to the Caribbean. Almost 50% of all cruising that goes on around the world is in that one location. So it will not surprise you that, guess what? There are a lot of cruise ships that depart out of that location. And Disney, at least as we're recording this, has the Disney Wish that does 3 or 4 nights out of Port Canaveral. It has the Disney Treasure that does 7 nights out of Port Canaveral. The Disney Fantasy is doing 3, 4, 5 nights out of Port Canaveral. They have 2 ships going that will be going out of Fort Lauderdale. That's a lot of ships in an area that, again, represents almost 50% of the world's cruising. Next is the Mediterranean, which was about 20%, and then Alaska. Those 3 locations, there you have about 75, 80% of all cruising going on. So there are cruise ships that leave from those different locations. But if you're looking at one of those, the Elaine mentioned the age of kids. It can really make a difference. If you have younger kids, you may be looking at a shorter itinerary. You may be looking more beachy. If you have teens or young adults, you may be looking at maybe Europe or Alaska or Norway or one of those kinds of things that can be really helpful. Elaine, one of the things we always tell folks is book early, right? Book early.
Yes, 100%. We say this, I think, probably every episode, that one of those top priorities for a lot of people is going to be price. And we cannot even begin to say that cruising is a cheap vacation, because it isn't. It is an expense, and it is a heavy expense, and the world is what it is right now. So we want to help you save as much money as we possibly can. And one of those things is going to be booking early. By the time this show comes out, we probably have the next round of cruises released, because we're expecting them realistically any day now. And so if you can book when cruises are released, that is going to be the cheapest that it is, because as the ship fills, the price goes up. And Disney Cruise Line is not like other cruise lines that they regularly put out discounts. There are other cruise lines that every single week they have a new, buy one, get one half off discount. They're just kind of repackaging and renaming the discount every week, and it's something different. Disney Cruise Line is not typically like that. It is very rare to see discounts. In the last few months, we have had some discounts because they've had a little bit of a hard time, but they are very rare. These are discounts we have never seen before. I mean, for me personally, I have been with Dreams for 9 years at this point, and I've never seen the discounts that Disney Cruise Line is putting out in the last few months happen before. So this is a new thing. But the great thing is that as your Dreams Unlimited travel agent, we can check and see, okay, is this discount a better deal than what you booked, or is it not? And if it's a better deal, more than likely we can apply it to your reservation and save you money and do that for you. It is truly in your best interest to book early, because they do not do these fire sale last minute situations where, okay, the cruise is in 3 weeks, I'm gonna get it on Disney Cruise for $300. They do not do that.
And
Really, for sure.
and they just released this third and fourth guest discount. We were able to apply that even to people who had paid in full and get them essentially a refund. So in general, booking early is not going to hurt you. And particularly if you're looking for that 5:45 dining time, which I know a lot of people with younger kids often are, book early if you want that, particularly down in the Caribbean and Bohemian. Federico, I want to talk a little bit more about the date aspect, because there are other considerations. If you have school schedules, if you have weather patterns, like you mentioned Alaska, there's hurricane season down in the Caribbean. If you go, that's not something I want to deal with. You need to keep that in mind. But there are also holiday and themed cruises that only go at certain times of the year. And those, if that's a consideration, that also plays a role here,
Yes.
doesn't it?
So I wanna talk about something. I had a client that, speaking of the priorities and the list of things that you need to keep in mind. I think it's very important that you keep them realistic, because there, and to help you having a list of priorities that are realistic, I think it's important to know that there are things in your cruise that are not going to change, and things that may change, even if it's something you don't expect to. And I'm going to give you an example. I have a client who booked a Marvel Day at Sea sailing, which is a specific sailing that Disney does with the Marvel thing. They do it. They have done it for Toy Story and Star Wars in the past as well. And for this client, the priority was to see Spider-Man. It wasn't even Marvel Day at Sea. It was, they wanted to see Spider-Man. And I told them, well, just keep in mind that Spider-Man is not guaranteed. Maybe he's busy doing other things. So that is not a realistic reason to book a Disney cruise vacation. When you
Right.
book a vacation, there are things that are not going to change. For example, if you book the Disney Treasure, you're not going to get a different ship. It's not like Disney going to say, well, you booked the Treasure, but we changed our minds and now you're going to have the Disney Wonder instead. This is something that
Right.
is not going to happen. If you book a 7-night cruise, it's not like they are going to change the itinerary to let you know 15 days before the trip that, well, now you're going to be 10 days traveling. And if you
Right.
have other commitments, well, too bad. That's not going to happen. If you pay for 10 days, you're going to get 10 days. If you pay for 7 or 3, you're going to get that. And the other thing is the port where your vacation is going to begin. If you're sailing for Port Canaveral, it's very rare that these things change. And if they do have to change it, it's for a very extreme reason, like a pandemic. And usually they allow people to cancel their trip. Now, the other things like characters' appearances, like the shows you're going to have, like the meal experiences, like even the ports of where your itinerary is going to stop, they may change. Like we were on the Disney Fantasy, and we had on our itinerary a stop in Castaway Cay, and it was canceled because the ship couldn't make it to the port. Those things may happen. So you need to have a realistic priority list of the things that you do want in order for you to book a vacation, and then things that they're not really realistic because they may change even during the trip. And yeah, one of the things is the days that you can travel. And if you want Christmas, if you want in a specific time of the year, again, if they have to cancel or they have to reschedule your vacation, is very rare. Is not, it doesn't happen that often. And if it does happen, we're gonna find a way to give you the best option possible for you to not be, have a problem with that. I think that was the question you asked me. I don't know.
Yeah, and I always stress to folks: focus on the things you get to do, not on the things you don't get. We these days with Insta, Face, whatever, there is so much FOMO going on, and my goodness, here's what I'll say: there isn't a bad Disney cruise ship. They're all awesome, and you're going
I just
to
want to
have a great.
I just want to motion to rename this podcast Deep Thoughts with Federico, because I'm over here
I know.
in my level thinking, and he's comparing wants versus desires and possibilities versus realities. And I'm just like, I'm sitting here like on every word.
You can apply this to your
PhD.
life. So if you wanna use
Yeah.
this podcast as a therapy, just change the subject of Disney to your partner and your relationship, and
There you
then
go.
you have it.
Yeah, it's his PhD is coming through, right? It's lovely. Um, what I think my overall message would be: don't overcomplicate it. All of these you're going to have, in my view, you're going to have a great time. And I had somebody who called and asked, and they're looking at and maybe going on another cruise line, and is it worth it? The cost and stuff like that. Um, you can do a less expensive. The thing I love, there's a whole bunch of things I love about Disney. I love the cleanliness of those ships. I love how handsome those ships are. I love the shows. But the thing that I particularly love about it being on a Disney ship are, well, you people. Disney Cruise Line people are lovely. And I like a multi-generational. I like having kids around. It doesn't bother me at all. I like that there's a certain, buzz that's on the ship that is so fun. Disney Cruise Line people are by and large really lovely folks to spend time with. I love getting to talk to you guys. And you know what? With Disney Cruise Line, you hear all sorts of things that happen on other cruise lines. I know we had a little girl who fell off and her dad jumped in, but that's such the exception to the rule for Disney Cruise Line. It's not usually happening. It's a wonderful family place where you get to, chill out and enjoy. So go through your kind of mind what you really want, and don't overcomplicate it, and don't hang on one thing that any one thing is going to make or break your cruise. And then reach out. I would always start, I always say at the end here, and I will again, start on Disney Cruise, Disney Cruise, start on dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. That's the one you want to go to, and select a cruise, and you can list other cruise, you're looking at a couple, and give us all those parameters, and we're going to work with you and figure out what's the best option for you. Federico, philosopher Federico, do you have anything else you want to add that folks should think about?
No, just have a again for a Disney
Have a good
cruise and
time.
for your personal life, have good communication with your travel party just to really
Yeah.
know what you want, or with yourself, just to really know what you want and what you expect from your vacation. And then have a good communication with your travel agent, because we have experience and we can tell you if this is really what you want and you have this in mind, maybe this other thing is better for you. Just have an open mind about the knowledge that other people can have, and again, be prepared to go with the flow. You're on a ship in the middle of the oceans, and sometimes you have to make changes. But if you have a clear idea of what you want, and you have someone you can trust and who has knowledge to give you recommendations, you're going to be able to get to a point where we're going to try to find the best and the perfect option for your vacation. But yeah, I think the better the communication, the best is the better it's going to be for us to give you what you really want.
Elaine, when we were on the Disney Fantasy in March, we couldn't go. We had to not stop at Castaway Cay, Disney's Castaway Cay, because of winds. There was really strong winds. They couldn't get in there, and there was you could hear the sad horns, wah wah wah. But it didn't. It was fine. I mean, I'm a little biased. I've been before and stuff. If it was your one cruise, I totally get it. But these things happen, and we actually have a show about what you can do otherwise and how they manage that, if you want to see that. Anything else you want to share with folks as they think about what cruise they want to book?
It just kind of playing off a little bit on what Federico just said is, you think about your travel party, not just you,
Yeah.
because the person
Right.
that you are going with, or people you're going with, they might have something completely different in mind as far as what makes a good vacation for them. And I think it's really important to balance so that you can make sure that everybody is going to be happy. One of my kids told me that for our next cruise, he's not interested in going to the beach. So that rules out, okay, that means that we're not looking for a Bahamas or Caribbean sailing. We need to be looking at something else. We need to be looking at Alaska or Europe or as the wonder not down under. I mean,
Right.
they want to be looking at something else. And so think about that. Think about your travel party and what is going to make them happy so that you can strike that balance for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Can I add something
Yeah,
to that, Elaine?
of course.
Sometimes even that communication can lead to not doing Disney. Because Disney is a very particular cruise line and you're going to have options, but you're also not going to have other options that other cruise line offer. Like, for example, if gambling and going to a casino is something important to you, if going to a club and having a party with many other people your age is a priority to you, if you want, if you want to get drunk and go to a lot of dancing parties, maybe Disney is not the best option for you. There are other cruises that offer that, and we can help you with that as well. But that's something that you need to be aware of what you want to do on your vacation and if Disney is the best option for you. In terms of theming, I wouldn't, in my opinion, it's not a problem because you can have a great vacation on a Disney cruise. And I have friends and clients who they said, I don't really care for Disney. I don't care for the movies. I don't care for the characters, but I have the best time on a Disney cruise because I was able to have an amazing vacation without having all the Disney stuff. So theming is not a problem, but if those are the things that I mentioned, like being, just adults, party, drinking, and going to the casino is a priority, there are other cruises that are going to be better for you.
Yeah. It's all awesome points. Really do think of that. All of this is funneling, and we want you to have the best time possible. So, Elaine, Federico, thank you very much. With that said, we're going to bring this ship to shore. We'd love for you to book with Dreams Unlimited Travel. Of course, literally, it helps pay for what we do here. And I'll tell you, I was a Dreams client before I was a Dreams agent, so I get the value. The best place to get started. Well, and by the way, Federico was mentioning other cruise lines. Dreams books other cruise lines. So if you want to do that, we can help you there too, and you still get the shipboard credit. How cool is that? Best place to start if you want to book with Dreams Unlimited Travel, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Select Disney Cruise on the first page. That will take you to a page where you can select your itinerary and your cruise date. On the second page at the very top, there's a pull-down menu. It will list all the Dreams agents. I will tell you they are all awesome. So you can select one or not select one, whatever you want to do. If you want to select Elaine, you would select Elaine. And but if they want to reach out to you otherwise with questions or comments, Elaine, how do they do that?
my email is Elaine, ELAINE at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com.
And Federico, how do they reach you?
Federico at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Federico is FEDERICO at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com.
Awesome. And if you want to reach me, I'm Chris V at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Yes, there's a Chris. So I'm Chris V at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. I'm also on social media at Yensid Travel on most platforms. Yensid is Disney spelled backwards, and it's also the Sorcerer and Sorcerer's Apprentice. So Yensid Travel, you can find me there. Oh, and I've added a new way. If you want to reach out to us, you can leave us a message. Just go to dclshow.com / easy for me to say, /message, and it'll take you to a platform. You can just speak right into your phone or whatever you want to do, and let us. It's a great way to reach out. So we've had a couple of messages come in. It's great to hear from you folks. With that, as always, a special thanks to our producer, Jimmy Valdez, who's so awesome. Love Jimmy. And very special thanks for you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Depending on where you're watching, listening, however you're getting us, like, subscribe, leave a review. It really does help us. There are these things called algorithms out there, and it really does help us get to the people who want to find this kind of stuff. So I don't fully understand it, but it works. So that we very much appreciate that. If you want to leave us topics, you can do that on the YouTube page or on our DCL fan Facebook page. There are a bunch of people discussing Disney Cruise Line, so you can share your thoughts there. Also, you can send a message, as I mentioned, dclshow.com/message. There, I got it that time. Or just send me an email. With that, safe travels. We'll see you real soon. So long.